My name is Roman Povolotskiy, and I make a lot of different kind of hackathons about virtual reality in Russia. So we don't understand how does it works, like anyone. So we just farm kind of prototypes on this market, and that's all.
Hi, I'm Nogi from Gumi. So Gumi is actually a mobile gaming company, and we are public, and we have 700 people globally. But we are really into VR, and then we started virtual reality fund in Silicon Valley with local partners. This is actually 50 million US dollars size fund. Then we actively invest in AR VR companies. And we also established incubation acceleration program in Tokyo, Seoul, and we just incubated startups. Then we are thinking to establish another incubation program in somewhere in European countries. And other things is we are also doing partnerships. We're talking with a lot of VR people in the world, and then we recently announced a partnership with the EU VR. Those kind of things we are doing. So I'm so excited to talk about VR here today.
Great. Hi, my name is Tommy Palm. I am the CEO and a co-founder of a studio called Resolution Games. I've been working with primarily mobile games for the past 18 years. For 2 years now, I've been working exclusively with virtual reality. I'm a programmer originally, and I'm a huge fan of games ever since I was young enough to reach up to the arcade machines.
Hey, I'm Josh Naylor. I work for Unity Technologies as a technical evangelist. So I'm one of those preachy guys that stands on stage and tells you to use Unity. But, I mean, everybody does now, so it's great for me. So we've been investing heavily in VR creation for a long time, helping developers create VR and AR for not just games, but a lot of different verticals, such as like NASA and movies and previs, VizSim are all using Unity as a game engine for their applications. So that's pretty awesome to see.
Hi, so Nizar, Romdan. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Virtual Arts. We are a startup in Cambridge, UK, focusing on virtual reality and augmented reality content and tech. Before that, I was in ARM, where I was head in developer relations. So we were focusing quite a lot on ensuring mobile gaming would take off on smartphones. And now I guess I want to do it from different perspectives, so start a company that will hopefully make or contribute to the success of VR and AR, particularly on mobile.
Okay, thanks. So we're here because we wait something big from virtual reality, right? And how do you see the present and the future of VR gaming? So is now the time for developers to start with production of games for VR?
Yeah, is it the right time to start developing for VR? Is it good for developers, or they should do something else?
So as you know, the device penetration is not so big, but probably the startups, also game developer, have to be patient at least a couple of years until the device is going to penetrate it enough. But pointedly, people say too early something, but VR experience is totally different from the current devices, right? That's why we should still try to do something to run once the market becomes big. That's what I'm always saying.
What you're basically saying that if it's an indie developer with not a lot of money, it's probably too early to make VR games.
Yeah, so startups have to also keep funding. This is a little bit hard time, but still future it's going to happen just obviously. That's why they should challenge.
How much money should they have to start making VR games, in your opinion?
It depends on the devices, but most of startups start investing like around $500,000 US to the $2 million US. It's that kind of range.
$500,000?
Yeah.
All right.
2.5 million around.
2.5. Okay. Nizar, who has a startup, like, do you have such much money? Such much?
Yes, right here in my pocket. Yeah, I would echo these figures. About your question, is it the right time? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I was involved in the emergence of mobile gaming, maybe not as early as Tommy, because I think he started even during the Java days. But I remember back then, 11 years ago, people were telling us, is it the right time to start working on mobile games?
It wasn't.
I think it was. I think it was. If you look at all who made successes, if I pick Rovio, they didn't start when the iPhone was released. They worked on so many games before that and learned lots of things before they made it on iOS.
But they're the only guys who survived from kind of the dark days of mobile gaming.
You did survive.
Yeah, but not in the same shape. The only thing that made me survive was going to other companies.
Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. I think if you start early, you can learn early. But yes, it's risky. Too early is risky. In terms of figures, that's about the same range. So we're trying to close a seed round right now, and we're going for similar figures mentioned. So probably that's what you should be considering. These figures also, looking at mobile. I don't know about PC and console VR. You might need more money.
All right.
I mean, I don't care about some of the business bullshit stuff, but
That's important.
as a creator and as a game developer and someone who loves it as an artistic form, like that's why I travel around the world and talk to people about creating games. Like, yeah, if they're successful, and that's great, and they earn money, but so many people are coming into VR now because they want to give somebody an experience. They're learning. It's such a new art form and something that you can give to somebody that like experience, not just playing it on their sofa in their pants, but actually being there and being the hero. You're not just playing somebody else. And that's why I think developers should be excited about VR and making stuff for VR right now, because it's so new and we're making mistakes, but then there's some amazing stories, and the collaboration among the gaming community, like the game developer community especially, it's really, really close with VR development right now. So I love it.
Yeah, I think from a short-term business perspective, VR is very risky, to say the least. But at the same time, from a creator point of view, I mean, you need to start early on. Make great games takes a long time, and probably you need to start honing in your skills, understanding what works and what doesn't work. I think personally that VR will be especially good for virtual world type of games where you are really going into something else and experiencing a big other world, and that takes a long time to do. So you need to get started early on, and whether that's as with your friends in a garage on your free time, or if it's with $1 billion in the bank with the biggest VC behind you, that doesn't really matter, as long as you have longevity to be there in the long run.
Actually, Roman, I mentioned that you are hosting VR hackathons in Moscow, right? So please tell us, is there a lot of interest? Are there a lot of developers or developers that just started that are interested in making VR games?
We noticed that there is no any good vector of development in VR. Everyone is testing different mechanics. So we understand that the most efficient way is to make a lot of kind of prototypes at a time, and the most interesting of them will be published, and users will vote for the quality of the game. So this will be like a organic selection of mechanics.
What do you think, guys? Is it true? Is it there are no good mechanics for VR games yet? Should you search for one?
There's no set mechanics. People are trying all different crazy things. People are putting people in roller coasters.
Anything worked out yet?
Seeing if they're sick and stuff. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things worked out already. But I mean, that's not going to be the standard in 2 or 10 years. It might completely change depending on the public's reaction. I mean, we need to get, as developers and people in the industry, to get other people excited. Like for me, my Twitter timeline, it looks as though VR is like the biggest fucking thing ever. But as soon as I step away from that and go out onto the street, like nobody knows what VR is, or they might have seen like a Google Cardboard, but they don't know what it is. So it's us as people deep in the technical industry to go out there and take my Oculus home to my mum, or set up my Vive in my living room for my housemates, and get people trying it as much as possible and just experiencing it.
All right.
Yeah, mechanics are quite challenging. I think right now we're working on our first game. It proved to be quite tough because we make predictions what the player is going to do, but actually when you test the prototype with people, you just get all kind of different reactions. I'll go back to when you see someone trying VR for the first time, they get wow, amazed.
Exactly.
But then everyone they will start trying to grab things. That's when you realize, okay, the expectation is really, really high. So for us, probably the holy grail is when you will have the possibility to just interact with the world with your hands without any gloves or whatever. But we might be a long, long way from that.
All right. By the way, if anyone has questions, just raise your hand. I'll come up to you, okay? Yeah. You were going to say something?
Current VR game development situation is actually, this is my personal opinion, kind of very similar to the early stage of the mobile gaming development. Especially smartphone came up, so everyone just tried to convert existing game. It didn't work because especially console game is need a big monitor and then controller, gamepad, but mobile is single monitor, right? But developer tried to make user play the exactly same the console game in the mobile. It doesn't make sense. And then after that, for example, Robio, the first maker to make the smartphone-driven UX game, but it's not monetizable. Then after the Clash of Clans, those things that happen. So currently, still no one find out the best user experience for UI UX for the VR. That's why I say it's still chance. But we have see some hint because we already have some $1 million title games like Low Data, some games. So it could be a good hint to develop the next generation of the games. That's my opinions.
All right. Next question then, I guess.
Yes, okay. How do you think about monetization of VR games? So do you have any ideas about what kind of monetization will be the most popular in the nearest time?
If there is going to be any.
I can start. I've been experimenting a little bit. So we've released 2, 3 free-to-play games so far. And from my experience with mobile games, in the beginning it was all premium, and then that slowly stopped working and people went over to freemium. And that was a really hard transition that very, very few old school companies survived. And it was more the people who came in and really embraced the free-to-play that were successful and are on the top grossing list today. I think, personally, that the same thing will eventually happen. If you want to be a business that's in it for long term in VR, you have to understand how to monetize your players properly. And that is not by giving away your game to somebody else to make money with it, like Steam or App Store or Google or anyone else. You have to be in control. And I think that's one of the great things with being an indie developer today, that you can do that. You have the connection to your audience straight away. But it's very difficult, and we are trying to learn. We don't know very much about VR, what will happen. And if you want to do short-term experimentation, I think premium is simpler. And right now, the numbers are very low on VR. There is not a huge audience anywhere, so it is hard. The only reason why you would make free-to-play right now is to learn it and get it into your culture of your company.
It also depends what platforms you're targeting. If you're targeting Oculus or Steam or PSVR, then those people have already invested $600, $700 in a headset and then $1,500 in a PC rig. So for them spending $10 to $20 on another game that they can use those things on, then that's fine. But if you're looking at mobile platforms, then yeah, people are going to start putting ads in the world, or they're going to put ads on the screen for the user. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But it depends if they do it in a nice way that's not intrusive.
Yeah, from our perspective, we're exploring both premium and free-to-play right now. I mean, like Tommy said, with low install base, the most obvious choice is premium. But if you don't start early on exploring free-to-play and how it will work, then it will take you a long time afterwards. So we're trying to do both, but it's quite hard for a startup at early stage to take a quite big risk and go free to play on mobile. To be debated.
I think with like mobile storytelling applications, that's a really good way of showing like, hey, this is the first chapter for free, and then if you're enjoying this experience, then you can progress and pay for more.
Ad-based as well will come to VR. We have conversations with some companies that want to bring ad-based content to VR. If that materializes, then we could go with a free-to-play ad-based content.
Business models and user acquisition is the most boring thing you can talk about on a game developers conference. Can we go to the next question?
Okay. So, how do you think? What is the most promising VR platform, and for developers that are not starting yet? From what kind of platform they would start to be like easy way?
Use Unity.
Anyway.
So we're looking at, for me, like the Vive and full 360 tracking is the best experience available that you can give to somebody. And as a developer, to give someone that freedom is amazing. But how many people are going to have those devices? It's hard to reach that many people with that hardware. And so I love what even Google Cardboard can do and what they're doing with their classroom system. So like giving it to 30 kids that can go on a school trip to Egypt and see the pyramids and see stuff like that they'd never be able to see normally, but we're giving them that opportunity through technology. So again, it depends what you're trying to do and what you want to offer to different people. But if they get hooked on VR with mobile, then they're going to ask the parents for something else, and then eventually they will be the people buying those devices for everyone.
Yeah, from our perspective, we're strong believers in mobile. Maybe because I come from mobile background. In ARM we had our predictions how many smartphones would be selling every year, and just before I left, I think the prediction for 2020 was 2.2 billion smartphones will be selling every year. So even if 5% only, like in 4 years from now, will adopt VR, that's more than 100 million mobile VR headsets every year. And for us, that could be a very good market. So that's maybe a conservative figure as well.
Okay, this is my opinion. My suggestion is always high-end PC. And I say PSVR is still not high-end, it's a middle. So I always suggested Vive or Oculus, because we need to impress people first to change the shift to the next generation of the platform, the VR. That's why we need a high-end content. And people also asked me like which platform between the Vive and the Oculus gonna be. And my opinion is actually Oculus, because some reasons. So Oculus and Facebook, they have actually vision, like 5 years, how much they're gonna spend. They just announced that another 250 million gonna invest for the contents. And also Oculus side, they at the Oculus Connect 3, they announced that 5 years development plan. They have a vision, and this is a very important. Then I've never heard from the Vive for the future vision. This is the same things happen in mobile early stage. Mobile, the Android phone, everyone uses HTC before, but nobody uses it. Maybe you have to think about the reason. The other thing is that, of course, Facebook is a massive platform, social platform. This is going to back up for their game, their distribution. That's why, in the future standpoint, maybe Oculus is going to be very strong, the platform.
I don't think it matters that much right now. It's so early days. You can pick any platform and just make sure that you make the best type of experience for that platform. Eventually, they're all going to converge and be much closer to each other. Personally, I find Daydream to be the best platform right now, but it's also the one that was latest released. So it's very, very dynamic and changing quickly. If you're a small company, don't try to make something that works on everything. Pick one that you're passionate about and make something great for that. And be sure that 2 years from now, when your game is finished, it's still going to look very different from what it is doing right now.
That's totally agree with you. Because one platform is you focus, also platformer is going to support you. This is very important, and then they can just provide also sometime financially, and you guys can do the core development with a platform. This is also business-wise very important.
I think that as soon as we have some VR game that go to mass market and become super popular, that will define like which platform is the most popular. Because at the same time, there will appear a lot of developers that will start to copy it and make clones and stuff like that. I think that's it. We have a question, right?
Okay, thank you. My name is Vasily Meshcheryakov. You can call me, VR Evangelist in Russian. I like that tagline, is it worth it? And my question is connected with that tagline. What do you think? What are the odds for the market not to grow in 2017? What will happen to VR, to industry, if the market, in terms of headset sales, for example, will be stagnant or will shrink? What do you think? And what the probability of that VR market shrinking?
What will happen in 2017 if the market shrinks? And is it possible?
Everybody watches Steam VR statistics of headset users, and let's imagine 6 months from here, less and less people buy VR headsets. So
it will happen maybe later. So anyway, I think that virtual reality right now is a part of console market. So when I noticed that players use their time to play on console with VR, I understand that in sometime in the future we will use this kind of console games. We will stop to play console, we will start to play VR. So maybe not this year, next year, anyway it will happen.
My prediction is that media will go haywire and write big headlines saying that VR market is crashing. It was all fake. Yes, and it's not unlikely that might happen. That's something that we talked about early on when we got an investment in 2015. Is that it's very likely to be a lot of hype when the headsets come out, and then you will see figures. And media will be disappointed because the figures are not what you expected. And it's a hen and an egg problem where the hardware needs to be good, and then when the hardware is out and it's stable, the games needs to come, and that often takes sometimes because unfortunately it takes us a long time to develop great games. And so, this is back to you have to have a long-term investment in this field. It won't be super fast, but it's going pretty fast if you compare to mobile. I started in the late 90s and was blown away by WAP and these technologies and thinking that would happen really quickly. It does take time for people to change, but one great thing now is that everybody walks around with a very, very powerful device in their pocket, and you don't need a lot more to experience good VR. So now the challenge is back to us to create that really, really compelling content that makes you want to go back and do that several times.
Yeah, if you look at the companies who are some of the biggest tech companies in the world, Microsoft, Sony, like HTC, Valve, they're all they've all invested heavily now, and they're kind of in it for not just 1 or 2 years, they're in it for seems to be quite a lot of years to come. And I guess there could be, because right now there's all the technology people who've got the headsets this year, and the consumers are going to slowly get introduced all the way along. So consumers are going to be, it's going to rise over so many years, but not over just 1 year, because we need to get out there, we need to make amazing content, and again, learn mistakes that we're making in VR and AR, and then kind of get it right. And then I think by the time 2 or 3 years time, when we have all of that killer content, and I think when social VR becomes a thing, like when people can enter a lobby and see all their friends all with the headset when they're sat home in their pants, then once it hits like mass market social, I think that's when it's going to take off for consumers.
I heard some smart person saying that we first need like a blockbuster Hollywood movie so everybody sees how cool VR could be. So the mass market understands like, oh wow, this could be really super cool.
So what should happen? That was going to be my question. So what should happen that everybody would understand and believe that it's not fake, right? That it actually exists and it's cool. What should happen? Like Hollywood movies should be made in VR, for example. That would be nice. Okay. Like any other ideas? Any predictions?
I think it will be a massively multiplayer online game.
All right.
I think just getting it in stores, going to a department store and being able to try it as a consumer. Like I take my Vive and Oculus and Gear
It's
VR
like,
Hub to my mum.
I don't know, it's nice to try. And someone already mentioned today that the first time you try VR, you're like, oh, wow, right? You try, you enjoy it, but then you think, taking it home and what I'm gonna play it every day. There are not so many games, the resolution is not so high. And then you're like, no, I tried, that's it. So maybe the price should be lower. What do you think?
Yeah, price is one of barrier. And then in Japan, Asian country case, so like I said in my keynote speech, so there are many VR cafe, like a theme park is expanding. And we are now trying to make user just try experience. Those are very important, just impress people. And the 2007, the device-wise, I don't think it's gonna be big growth because I don't think the new device gonna coming up this year. But still, the developers, making some games, and I just really expect a really good game gonna come up, and then market gonna suddenly change. That's my expectation.
Okay, actually, before, yeah.
Just want to add, I think it's quite hard to predict what that killer use case will be. We should just explore all angles. If I use again mobile as an example, that was created to allow us to call while being mobile. I don't think that's the main functionality of mobile phones today. It's our social platform, it's our main computing platform, but no one back then thought that's going to be the vision for mobile phones. We just need to keep exploring all angles. And then at some point, there will be a killer app that everyone will look to one day and say, yes, that's why we wanted to have VR.
One of the more compelling use cases I've seen is actually like the editors, both Unity and Unreal's demo in VR, when you're in VR and you're being more productive than ever working in that environment. I think something like that is bound to happen.
All right. Actually, I have a quick question to all of you here. So apparently, these guys on stage think that VR is going to be a real deal, right? But usually, it's like real deal versus hype. So I have a question to all of you. Please raise your hands, those who think that VR is going to be a real thing within next 2 years. Okay. Who thinks it's more of a hype? Okay, just one person. And there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who is not sure because yeah. Well, still, majority is for real deal. All right. I have a question here.
Thank you. So my name is Arman Atön. I'm CEO of Arlupa. We are AR/VR development startup. And the answer, I think, the killer app is the Facebook VR version. And once it will be ready, I think in 1 week, 1 million people will get into that. So I think that Zuckerberg have that vision. But the question to you, what do you think, why those companies like HTC, Google, are not doing more investments into the content? Why they are not paying developers to create these killer apps? In any case, this is going to be monetized on their platform, and they can push to do it exclusively. They can say, I'm paying you $1 million, but you have to create the title just for Oculus. Go have a rest, work 2 years, create brilliant content, because without content, nobody gonna do everybody can buy, try, and just leave it.
That's definitely happening already.
Yeah.
Great
That's
question.
definitely
Go do that.
I meet so many studios who are like, we've got money from X to create for their platform for 6 months, and then after that we can go on any platform after that. That's happening all the time.
So it's happening that the platforms give money to developers to create content, or what's happening? All right.
Yeah, they do.
More money. Developers just taking money and then next.
I think that's a question maybe for these guys, but what I could predict, I think they all announced they are doing it. but it has to be done also with a reason. If they just go say, if you're a developer, I want $1 million, come to us, there you go. You will have a lot
Would
of
be nice.
bad content out there.
Yeah.
So I think that you need to balance, not just throw money for the sake of having content. You want content, but you want good ideas. So that's why you'll have to pitch. You'll have to come up with a good idea, a good prototype, so that they will invest their money in you. But they all announced that they have budget for that. I think
Yeah,
Facebook,
the
did they
few
announce
studios.
$500 million, something like this?
Have you met developers that got those money?
Yep.
All right.
So I've met studios who have first done small mobile VR games like Cardboard, put out for free. Then they've made some gear stuff and got it featured on the Oculus Store. And then they've built a good partnership with those companies, and now they're getting paid a lot of money to create the next social apps or big games, or even not even games, just nice experiences for McDonald's and stuff like this, for people to get interested into VR.
Yeah, I mean, there was in the past an example when people were getting money for simply saying, I want to create one thing. That caused the Internet 2000 bubble. If you just go to a banker back then and just say, I'm going to do a website or a startup, then
Good times.
you get the money. And that led to a massive crash. So... That's your opinion.
All right. Do we have a next question?
Okay, so what do you think about merging of esports and VR? What kind of products we will see in the nearest future?
I've already started to see spectator modes in VR. Some amazing stuff, even just through gear, or then actually where you can control where the camera is in the spectator mode on Vive. There's a great game from Sweden, Battle Rights. They've got a full spectator mode where you can zoom in and look around. You can move the camera. Do you imagine YouTubers and Twitch streamers being able to put that content out for their viewers of them being the cameraman and being the director of that? This is pretty amazing.
So our fund actually invested esports platform company, and then they have a technology put any games within the camera in the game, and then see everything in the VR, and then they are trying to do esports event in the future. That's why it could happen.
And it can also get consumers interested in not just games, but stuff like gigs and football stuff and any sport, like spectatorship and feeling as though you're there. Again, that'll get consumers interested.
What about other genres, like MMO was mentioned? What do you think? Is it going to be on VR soon? Is it on VR already?
What, sorry?
MMO games?
Yes, it's very interesting because we don't see any good titles in this kind of genre, but I think we will see some of them in the near future because it's like organic for this kind of platform.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. I was a big believer in. That's how my career got started. I was very interested in server-side technology and the internet's impact on playing together, and I kind of lived through the rise of the MMOs, and then we've seen a big decline with rise of mobile games. It feels like with World of Warcraft that made about 10 million daily active users, which is enormous in those days. And then very little mainstream has come out after that. So maybe VR is the answer to the next really big MMO that will come and be. I think it's going to be amazing for social interactions. Maybe that's what Facebook is trying to do, like a real MMO.
I think with MMOs as well, because they're so long and you have to spend so much hours in them every time. We as humans prefer more bite-sized stuff, and I think VR would be really great for like a VR MMO where you can come in for half an hour, be social, and leave again. Like just flicking through your phone. I'm just popping in and say, look, right, I'm going again now because I want to carry on with my own time.
Okay, so will in-game advertisement be a viable option? And what kind of advertisement we will see in the next future in VR?
Yeah, I definitely think it's just a matter of time. But for advertising to work, there needs to be a lot of players. So that's the big barrier right now. But then exactly the same type of advertising that works in real life. I think it's going to work pretty excellent in VR, especially if you're able to. If you look at mobile, a lot of that advertising is driven by apps paying to get installs. So when that starts to happen, you'll have an ecosystem of being in one world, finding out about the game and downloading that in the background while you're still in your virtual world.
I think if you look at consumer products, and they could be brought into the virtual world as well. Like, you imagine playing Grand Theft Auto in VR and going into the store and buying some Nike trainers and looking down like, oh, these are cool trainers, I might buy some of these in real life. Or being on like a social VR app and sharing your wardrobe with your friends.
But that discussion has been going on for
Yeah,
10, 20 years in the
course it
PC
has.
game industry, and it never happened. There's been one or two tries, but it's never been truly successful.
But you're always playing somebody else in that PC game. You're always sat back playing that person, where now you are the person.
All right,
I think advertisement will be big in VR. I mean, what was said, but also there are companies who are building platforms and preparing for that. They're quite keen on using VR for that. The potential is huge, I think.
Have you seen that episode in Futurama when they're putting on their VR headsets and going to the future?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should YouTube for that if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah, the potential is huge. Just whatever. You want to buy a sofa, and you see it's almost like in real life. That's a huge potential. So people who want to advertise will be all over VR, and later AR.
So our fund is also invested VR ad network company, and they initially started for mobile VR, and they already, I cannot say the number, they have a huge number of the users already. Then the advertisement model is gonna be happen for sure.
So ads will get us even there, even in virtual reality. All right. We have a question.
Hi guys. We've been talking about VR mostly today, and I have a question which may spin off a big topic, and it's regarding AR and MR relative to gaming context, because we are on gaming conference. I'm concerning about what do you think if current technology state is ready for making production products which generate some revenue, or we have to wait until the hardware will be good enough for consumers to feel pleasure while using this AR and MR experiences, or maybe you know products which already make money, I mean gaming products, from using these technologies.
Pokemon Go?
Well, it's not really an AR game, is it? I have seen people claim that it is, but it's really not, I would say. You know, in the sense of this, we're talking about VR and we're talking about AR. I would say it's too early. In Pokemon Go, sure, like a gimmicky thing where you see your background through, but that doesn't really add anything to the game, I would claim. When I talk about AR games, I talk about, you know, you have some sort of advanced device on you, and you can use that for multiple things, and then just playing games, probably. And I think it's very hard to make money from games at this today, but it might not be that far away. But still, I would say...
You think it's a hardware limitation?
Yeah, because of the fact that hardware is very uncomfortable at this point. It's too clunky, it's too first generation everything. HoloLens is pretty amazing stuff. Every time it tries it for the first time, goes like, wow, but it's still very, very, you know, you go, wow, the engineer in you are really impressed with what it is. But still, we can all see that it has to be lighter, it has to be cheaper, as you mentioned, and it has to be more socially acceptable to walk around with something like that. And first then we will see some real numbers.
But what do you think will be between virtual and But what do you think will be between virtual and augmented reality in regards of gaming? Which platform will be the main gaming platform, virtual augmented reality, which will hold more players, which will hold hardcore games, which will hold casual games? Because there are points of view from Ohnogi who thinks that these platforms will merge eventually. But I know a lot of people who thinks they will not.
Yeah, I think that depends on a little bit on where in the future you're talking about. And to be frank, it's only interesting to look a couple of years into the future, because then it becomes very philosophical otherwise. I think VR is always going to be relevant for games. I think there's going to be opportunities when you want to be completely immersed in a game world. And AR is replacing the smartphone gaming when you're in the bathroom and you need to be entertained for 3 minutes. Like it's another scenario.
That's a nice way of entertaining yourself. I think there'll be room for everything. You always have the debates between platforms, which platform is going to kill the other platform. Heard that about PC and console, heard that about console and mobile. Reality is you have all these platforms and you have people who sometimes play both or more than one platform. So for me, it's when you have a new platform, what is it going to bring and what will be the experience that the other platforms didn't provide? Then you will have a whole new player base, user base for that platform. I think VR is going to be big for games because you are put inside the game. AR could be great for games or mixed reality, like people want to call it, but I think it will go beyond that. It will go to, it can be related to anything in our day-to-day life, improving the experience, whether it's education, retail, information while you're going. It's just the potential is massive, but probably more than just for gaming.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think as an entertainment source, VR will be one thing, and then AR. Like when Google Glass came about, mainly the media scared everyone with the camera and stuff. But when it becomes socially acceptable, everybody will be wearing AR. Maybe it'll be like mini games for AR and just stuff to pass the time. But the general industry, and we will all be wearing some sort of glasses probably in the end, or maybe get our eyes taken out and
will it ever
replaced,
be
maybe.
socially acceptable to walk around with something like that?
Yeah, I definitely think
The
so.
conferences will be happening all in virtual reality, right?
Exactly,
In
yeah.
a couple of years, will be more convenient.
There was a time when you wear headphones, people look at you, look at you in a strange way in the street. Now it's accepted. Everyone wears these, so at some point, yes, it might be.
But that's actually a great example. I think a virtual reality conference would actually bring something. You could be an unlimited amount of people,
yeah.
and you wouldn't have to travel, which would be very, very beneficial for environment. And
Yeah, it would be harder to drink together though, but yeah, you know. We have another question here.
Hi, so I was wondering what you guys think about tactile feedback in VR, whether that is going to be a major thing. I mean, you want to touch this thing, you want to grab it, or whether it's going to stay maybe partially with the mobile devices with the vision part of it.
I think it's going to be vision originally. So much like we're very far along in vision and audio when it comes to simulating our 5 senses. But I definitely think that there will be a need of feeling when you're touching something. And there will be platforms, you know, more connected platforms when you want to slip your hand into a glove to be able to feel a texture of something.
Yeah, we're seeing people creating hardware and building SDKs for Unity, so you can get gloves or you can get bodysuits. It's like a normal jacket, looks like a leather jacket, but it's got full tactile feedback in it. So if you're playing an FPS shooting game, it feels like you're getting paintballed or shot, anything like that. So we're seeing a lot of hardware people come out there, and it's very niche, I guess it will be in the end, and it'll be built for people who want to go the extra. But yeah, vision and sound right now is where we're at. And
Like in 10 years, we're going to discuss, is real reality a real deal or hype, right? Because
Reality.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Does anyone else has an opinion on that?
Okay, finally, so what are your expectations about this year in technology and content?
For me, I've seen developers building awesome things for the last 3 or 4 years. Prototyping, testing stuff, game jams, hackathons. And now is when people have kind of learned a lot of things and they've made the mistakes. And this is when people like Oculus and are paying developers to create some awesome content, and they're actually giving them something substantial to create something awesome. So I think this year is when a lot of big apps and amazing games and amazing content is available for people. And now the headset's been out for like 6 to 9 months. That's when the consumers will be able to get them and see the cool content to play.
I sure hope so, to see deeper content, like more meaningful content long term. A lot of the content still very demo-y and gimmicky, and we definitely need something with retention. And personally, the thing that I've seen demoed from different developers that impresses me the most is when there is a promise of a big narrative. You go into this world and it's your Indiana Jones, and you feel like, oh wow, there's so much exciting things going on if I can continue and continue in this world. So that's what I'm hoping for 2017.
So basically, I agree with them. Then also we expected like more like education for the not only contents but also developer education things. This is very important for the future, and then we have to expand more like a VR developer. That kind of things we're also thinking to do that in this year.
Do you have some success stories about education?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Nizar?
I think what I would like to see probably is, I don't know whether it's for Google or for lots of platform providers, not to forget the entry-level VR. When Google came up with Cardboard, I felt it was such a brilliant idea. It's not as fancy as the Gear VR, as advanced, but it allowed everyone to try VR anywhere. You had even McDonald's, the Times distributing free Cardboard branded like headsets, and you can get started. I think that will be very important because not everyone will have the high-end smartphone or that amazing Gear VR or advanced mobile headset or even the PC console. There'll be loads of people out there in the world with maybe $50 budget smartphone, and it's important to keep these people engaged or part of VR, at least try it every now and then. My vision is like anywhere you go, you can find disposable cardboards. So just pick it and use it rather than you have to always carry that one with you. So hopefully the hardware guys will not forget the entry-level VR offering.
All right, we probably have one last question from the audience here.
Yeah, hi, my name is Ilya. I have a question concerning the giving people the taste of VR, seeing how the device base is expanding a little slower than perhaps expected. What do you think about the VR arcades as a way of kind of like introducing people to the medium, and what do you see? What like business models might be perhaps successful in that space, or do you think that it's just a very short-term phase that's going to pass fast because the people are going to get the devices at home or in their pocket?
So the location-based services are very popular in Japan and other Asian countries. And then current business model is a pay-per-play or pay-per-time, and then like a $10 or $5. And this model is actually very similar to the existing theme park model. Then this is going to be one of the standard in the future, I think. And then also, like I told you, this is a very entry-level people. It's good to experience the VR. I think this is very good things.
I definitely believe in the kind of bigger scenario, the void in the US where they create experience. You go there, you pay money, and it's a very big thing. I don't believe very much in the arcade, like the internet cafe type of things. That might work regional in some countries. China, I can speak for Sweden where I live, and I'm gonna say it's not gonna work. The price for being central is too high, and you wouldn't pay that type of money to play something that you could have at home. But if it's a proper theme park, then that's another thing.
I've seen a lot of them popping up, like arcade things, and I think they're a pretty cool idea because I mean it also proves that VR is not just a solo experience. So you don't go there by yourself; you go there with your friends and family. The same reason, the only time I get my headset out generally is to show people and to do it together. And I know many of my colleagues are the same. They only play when they're playing with other people, which proves that it is a social thing. But yeah, I can't see it working in the long run. It's good to get maybe do arcades like for the next few years to get people interested. I'm sure they make a bit of money from it, but yeah, not in the long run, but in the short run, yeah.
I think it can work in existing theme parks rather than creating purpose-built theme parks for VR. Like in UK, we have Alton Towers. I think if you go there and you have VR section, and it's probably that will work because people will go anyway, and there's something new that they could experience. Disney World with lots of VR in it, I can see that working. Or in other even I don't know, environments that don't necessarily offer such kind of entertainment. I can think of the Science Museum in London. Adding VR there would be massively popular, maybe any other museum. So there's certainly room for that kind of experience, probably not purpose-built in everywhere in the world. In China, as Tommy said, that could work. But in Western world, probably just have it in locations where people go for entertainment.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like art installations as well, and companies wanting to have some VR content like McDonald's or British Gas, or like people want some cool stuff to show off to people and get people interested and coming to talk about their brand. And we're seeing a lot of developers switching from being game studios to also to creating like digital content for those companies as well.